Welcome back to Clydesdale Media, where we bring you the best from the world of CrossFit. Podcasts, news, special interest, health, fitness. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button, hit the notifier so you're the first to know when we have new episodes. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Clydesdale Media Podcast. My name is Scott Schweitzer. I'm the Clydesdale. She is Kat Shear, and we have Julie Rappaport with us. But before we get to her, quick shout out to our sponsor, C4 Energy, Cellucor, and Extend. Make sure you go to officialextend.com or cellucor.com. Use the code Clydesdale. Get 20% off your entire order at a very minimum. If they are running a deal, you get 5% off their deal. So it's even a better deal than what they run. Minimum of 20% off. Code Clydesdale at officialextend or cellucor.com. And with that, Julie Rappaport, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So it's been a while since we've had you on.
I know.
Long time.
Yeah, lots happened.
So we were lucky enough, Kat and I, to meet you at the first ever Masters Fitness Collective.
Yeah.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yep. That was fun.
And you came out like a house on fire, and then your knee said, not gonna finish.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you with the knee, with injuries, with all of that in your life right now?
Oh, my knee is, it's my problem child. It's, it needs a lot of love. And, because of its different structure, I'll just say, I kind of have, my body is, our bodies are amazing at, compensating. And so I have done a very excellent job at that. And so what happens is my hips work differently than they actually should. And then it's just, that's what I finally come around to finding out that like everything was just off, and that then affected my knee. Whether it's my knee affects my hips or my hips affects my knee, or I don't know, but it's just a movement pattern that just kind of found its way to its last leg. And then it actually, I got this like shooting pain, like in my tibia was what was going on there. And nobody knew what it was. And I eventually just had knee surgery just to clean up my knee. And after that surgery, then that went away. Ironically, I haven't had any problems with it until I was at the last comp, and then lo and behold, it wanted to rear its ugly head again. And I was like, I'm not going to pull out. Come on, let me just finish the weekend.
So it sounds like it's a movement pattern issue that once you get it cleaned up, if the movement pattern doesn't change, it's gonna rear its ugly head over and over again.
Yes, I'm now working with a movement specialist to try to, go back, like slow down to go fast. So hopefully that'll, it's going to be a brick by brick sort of process. But I mean, ultimately, I'm probably looking at a knee replacement, but trying to, hold that off as much as possible. But if that happens, that happens. But and then as far as injury, sorry, go ahead.
No, finish, please.
Just, and then so after the knee surgery, that was 2020, I believe. Yeah, we're in 2022. Then I happened to actually make the games in 2021. And then about 6 weeks before I was going to go, I dislocated my shoulder and found out that I couldn't even hang from a bar. I couldn't do anything. So I needed major shoulder surgery. So that was fun.
How did you dislocate your shoulder?
Snatching.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it was one of those things. I mean, the orthopedic surgeon was like, listen, there's nothing acute here. Like, it's not like that just did it. It was just, that was the thing that broke the camel's back. It was, I'm sure that any CrossFitter, their shoulders are wrecked, but yeah, it was just kind of the right movement at the right time that then had that happen. And so that's been my last year, is recouping from that.
So you jumped into my notes already. Doggone it. Because I was going to ask you, I noticed you, because you finished fourth in the qualifying position to get to the games. And then there were no, on your account, there's no games there. So I was going to ask about that. So what was that recovery like?
I mean, honestly, it's still going. But it was, I grew up playing soccer. So for me, it was always like the ACL. You never want an ACL repair on your knee, And one of my friends had ACL repair 4 months after my shoulder surgery. And she was like back in the gym, like right away doing all these things. And I was like, oh, apparently it's shoulder surgery you don't want. Because there's only so many times you can do legs, and you can't like jostle it for a while, because I had a kind of trifecta. I had rotator cuff, labrum, and biceps tendon. And
Nice.
yeah, so it's just been and then like I didn't move it enough, and so like, but also the guy was like, listen, I nailed that thing down like so tightly, you will never dislocate it. Whether you will have full mobility is a whole nother question, but so working on that full range of motion was challenging for me, and then just now it's just building back the strength and endurance in the shoulder. But it feels fabulous. Like it's rock solid, it feels like now. So
nailing down, is that a small tack hammer with like just
I don't know. There's some bionic stuff in there or something. I'm not really sure what it is, but lots of staples or sutures, or I don't know what. Yeah.
Somehow I picture a shoe repairman in your shoulder, like tick, 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 tick.
Yes.
Tick, tick.
Lots of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you setting off metal detectors? That's all we need to know.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
So you didn't get a replacement on the shoulder or anything like that. It was just a bring the tendons back into place.
Yeah, actually have some tendons that are attached.
Yeah. So anyway, you have always been like you were a 2017 games competitor. So you have been to the games, and then you've always been like right there.
Yeah.
Like right on the cusp, or injury, or has there ever been a point in your career where you thought, is this worth it? Or do you love it too much?
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever gone there. I love the process of it. So it's like, it's like I've made it 3 times and been there once. And, one was COVID. That was a real bummer. But yeah, to me, like it was an interesting thing for me, because I was really not in a good headspace when, the shoulder happened. It's kind of a funny story where I was like, all right, this happened. I'm not going to be able to like really perform how I want, because I was actually feeling pretty good. I'm not going to be able to perform how I want to perform. So what I'll do is I'll go, and maybe they'll have some lower body intensive stuff that I could do. And then at such point that like there's a workout that I can't do, then I'll withdraw. And so I was still training and I was doing some sprints, and like I just feel like the universe was like, okay, let's dislocate her shoulder. She's not going. And then, oh guys, she's still thinking she's going to go. We need to pull the hamstring.
Let's shut down the knee. Oh, the hamstring. Oh,
so, I literally was sprinting and my hamstring popped, and I was like, oh my God. So it was like, I was not meant to go. And there was something in that at some point where I just got to this something happened where I was like thinking about it and really having a hard time. And then all of a sudden this voice was like, Julie, it's just working out. Like, it's just the games, and it's like, I know that sounds silly on some level because the games is a big deal, but it was also like so refreshing to me of like, this is just where we get to showcase all the work we've done. But like, ultimately it's not like, there's always next year, or, it's like when I'm 80, am I going to look back and like, really, like, am I going to be just so despondent about it? And so I just had like, it was just like a nice thing of like, oh, okay. Like, it is okay. It is okay.
Well, and yeah, we'll get into that in a second, but so then you go through the whole recovery process. Here comes Legends. You do the qualifier and you qualify in first position.
Mm-hmm.
You get to Cookeville. First of all, how was the vibe? New location for Legends, Cookeville, Tennessee, CrossFit Mecca of the world, where the Mayhem Empire exists. What was the vibe like when you got there?
It was, I mean, it was really nice. It was, it wasn't, I don't know, it was like professional, but like also very, it was just organized, and Bob and Joe were really responsive. Like, they were on, they were there and they were like, do you have any questions? Anything you need to answer before? Like, they were just very on top of it. And it was, the check-in process was a little bit, they kind of had a little bit of trouble there, but thank goodness I was there right when they opened, so I didn't go through that. But yeah, it was a nice vibe, and it was almost like mellow, but not at the same time. And it's hard to explain, but I think they did a really nice job.
Had you ever been to Mayhem before?
No. Yeah, it was cool to see.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it was cool to see. It's a nice gym.
So when you got there, this T. Gebby, who I do not know, freaking dominates your division. You come in as the number 1 seed ish, and she just dominates the weekend. Did you know of her going in? Is this something you expected? Or I know you said earlier in the podcast that the knee reared its ugly head. Did that play a factor in that?
Okay, there's a lot there. So I knew
I can recap if you need me to.
I knew of Taya just because I knew, I followed the games, and so knew she had come in second at the games. And so I was like, oh, I saw before I left that she was on the list to come. And so I was like, hey, second place finisher in the games is going to be there. And so I knew that there would be competition. But honestly, it was a different thing for me. Usually I think in the past I might've gotten really like tight and like, but I really was going to just kind of see where I was in my recovery and my training and kind of my season and what I need to work on. And, there's things that you just can't work on if you're at your gym. You have to be on the competition floor. And so I really was very focused on me. I stayed in my lane. Like, of course I'm competitive. I want to win, but like at the same time I was, it didn't bother me at all. Like, I kind of feel like if you just come off the games, you should be dominating, like like, whereas I was still, I'm still recovering, and I'm just in a different part of my season and process. So it didn't bother me at all. She's a monster. She's a very strong, she's strong and she's competitive. And I think if there was more gymnastics in the programming, it might have gone a little differently, but who knows, but I don't want to take anything away from her.
Considering you were coming off of that injury and sort of recovering from surgery and things like that, what were your goals for that competition? I mean, clearly you felt confident going into it, number 1 qualifier, but like, you had to have some realistic path forward on what was going to happen that weekend in terms of your capabilities?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I was just kind of going in and being like, well, let's see what I got, and let's see where my holes are, and let's see what needs, like kind of taking this as a checkpoint of like coming into the CrossFit season of like the open and everything, of like, where are the holes that I need to really work on and shore up so that I can be competitive. I really didn't have like, I mean, I was like, oh, I'd love to stand on the podium. That'd be great. But if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. Like I don't know. I was just in a very kind of chill headspace for some reason, which is not
That's great.
necessarily my MO.
Nice for a change.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, had it been the CrossFit Games, it's a different story. There were lots of things that I did at the comp that I'm like, oh yeah, this, like, there's a lot that I need to work on. But it was a great experience for me in a lot of different ways. Some really big successes and not so much.
So when did the knee rear its ugly head?
So the first day we had, so what happens is that, like, what has happened, hopefully it doesn't continue to, but if I do high volume squats, then my hips are kind of all off, which then kind of tweaks my knee a little bit. But as long as I can get adjusted, I'm good. And what happened was we had, a lot of dumbbell thrusters on the first day. And I was all right, but I could feel like something was a little off. And then there was, I couldn't get adjusted. There was no chiropractor there. So then I just kept going. And the next day wasn't any squats. But then the following day was the wall balls. And so that just kind of put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And so the last day, I didn't know what I was going to be able to do or not do. And I honestly was like, please don't have us run to the rig and run back, because I'm not like, I didn't know if I was going to get that shooting pain, which pretty much stops me in my tracks. So I was like, but then of course they did make us run, and it did hold up. But it was, it was a lot of head stuff going on of like, because it's actually quite traumatic when it happens, because I never know when it's going to happen. It just is extremely painful and out of the blue. So it was just on my mind.
Do you take the attitude that if it's going to go, it's going to go, but I'm going to push as much as I can? Or is there a reservation about doing that?
I will go until I can't go. Like if it's, I mean, if it's, at the MFC in Indiana, I was like, there's no way I could do it. Every step I took, it was shooting pain. This was a little bit different, and it was just a little bit periodic, and I was just fearing that it was going to become like it was in Indiana. And so that fear just was on my mind, but I was still able to compete. So it was like, I'm going to do what I can do. Hopefully I don't, it's already kind of messed up. So
you can say fuck.
So, I'm not going to F it up any more than I already have.
So for our listeners who don't know, in your profession, you are a counselor.
Yeah, a couples therapist.
Yes. So you deal with like mindset, thought processes, things like that. How are you at counseling yourself?
Oh, it's so hard. It's a really great question. Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress at all times. I think having injuries, what I took last year was, of course, rehabbing, but I really just tried to say, okay, this year for my training really is my mental game, and trying to stay positive and trying to just take it one day at a time. And I mean, it's always hard. I'm really trying, if I have anything negative, is like switch it right away into something positive, encouraging. I've gotten much better. But even today I was doing some rowing intervals and I was like, oh, I completely just went down off the cliff on one of them and then had to pull myself back. So, it's just constant. It's, the answer probably is I'm not like, I'd probably give myself maybe a C.
That's great. So I do a mindset show with Phil Mansfield, and he talks about that the biggest influence on ourselves is ourself, because nobody talks to us more than we talk to ourselves.
Yes.
And I think it's 10,000 words every 10 minutes we're probably saying to ourselves, something like that.
Shit.
It's ridiculous.
And so you are trained in all of this stuff and you give yourself a C. Us mere mortals have no shot.
Well, I mean, I think one, it's well, one, I tend to be hard on myself, so I might be giving myself a C when other people might give me a different grade. But two is it's much different to be on the outside counseling somebody than being on the inside. It's like you could be like some of the best counselors are the most messed up people. Like, sorry to say, but it's like one doesn't preclude the other kind of thing. I mean, it's great to have that integrity, to be able to, walk the talk. And I do my best to do so. I just, I'm human too.
It's kind of like coaches aren't necessarily the best athletes either,
Yeah.
right? You can be a really good coach and not be an all-star athlete.
Yeah. But that is part of my, I believe that, like when you're at this level, like we all have, like you can always improve, but it's kind of incremental, right? And
Sure.
And we're all at a high level in terms of talent and skill and experience. And so the difference, I think, comes in when you talk about the mental game of, how can you really hone that to be an ally rather than, an obstacle.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that because I actually recorded a show with him this morning, and he said elite athletes are hard on themselves, but they know how to use that to make themselves better, instead of using it to beat themselves down. So it's cool you say that, how you use that to hone yourself in. So let's talk about the week and at Mayhem. What was the weekend like? You started off middle of the top 10, and then you really kind of turned it on day 2. Is that what, because you are not a large athlete. you are smaller in stature.
She's tiny.
And endless ergs is not what I would call your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was texting my husband after that, he asked how the weekend or how the day went. And I was like, well, it was all right. It was more like damage control. And I'm sure, I did all right, but I'm not going to be in the top 10. And then I later looked at the leaderboard and I was, I don't know, 6th or something. And I honestly I was like, I'm totally okay with that. Like, I was like, endless ergs for a 5-foot person is, and that I cannot for the life of me gain a pound. I've been trying for like 6 months. So,
Well, poor thing.
Anyway, I just, I don't have the power and weight that, somebody maybe like Taya does. So that placing for me, I was pretty pleased and was like, okay, let's go into day. My goal was just keep chipping away and see what happens. And so I was pretty, and the next day was what it was. The sprint and then the toes to bar one. And those are pretty good workouts for me. So I was kind of excited for those.
Yeah. So one, I need to coach you because I can drive past a fast food restaurant and gain 2 pounds. Not even stop.
I know. I mean, so I don't know if we covered this last time, but I come from a family with eating disorders, and my whole life up until a certain point when I kind of got really serious about CrossFit was about like, don't gain weight. And I just still laugh at like, if my mom actually knew and like heard me say, Mom, I'm trying to gain weight.
Right.
I mean, it would just blow her mind because, it's like our family just functions of like, that is not what you do. So it's been a kind of cool thing, but I never thought I would actually have the problem of trying like not being able to gain weight.
Yeah. So you love the gymnastics. And so the second day was really good for you.
Yeah. The second day was the sprint, which, you should be scared of that because it was, you knew you were going to go unbroken and it was just going to be like, how much could you make it hurt? I had a little thing happen that, like, again, like these little things that happened that kind of threw me off, that I was like, oh, that can't happen. Like at the games, those little things make big differences. Like they had little plates that were holding the barbells in place so they wouldn't roll. And when I dropped my barbell, they landed on the plates. And so the plates moved all over. And so then I was having to like, it was just like, that was just dumb. Like, oh no.
So there are things that you need to clean up. And that there are little things that you can fix pretty easily. And you actually finish the weekend. One, I look at Gran Torino at the end of day 3, and 90 GHD sit-ups, 12 rope climbs, and 150 wall balls.
We had 80.
That is insane.
Yeah.
80. Okay.
Yeah.
That is an insane workout.
It's a games workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody finished it. Nobody in any class, any division finished that workout. You finished 5th. And I would say that with 150 wall balls to finish, for someone who's 5 foot tall, that's quite the accomplishment to finish top 5.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that was the first, the rope climbs and the GHDs. If we had just ended there, I think I could have really done very well. But I seriously got on one, my knee was, that whole thing was going on, but okay, go ahead. But I got on the wall balls and it was as though it was just the weirdest thing. Your body was like, what are we doing here? Like your midline is shot, and it was the weirdest thing. It was like I hadn't done a wall ball before or something. I don't know. It was very strange.
So then you finish that workout, and then it's the old school 1 and 2, the 12-9-6 into the 6-9-12.
Yes.
And that you did really well in the bar muscle up front squat. And I know we talked to Jamie Latimer last week, she doesn't consider herself strong and was worried about the front squat part of that. How did that go for you with the knee, the leg?
Yeah. Controlled, like kind of less dynamic, explosive stuff. Those are okay for me. So I knew that one I had a bit of an issue with some judging, but the workout we did chest to bar for that one. So okay. that was a decent workout for me.
And then did you strict handstand push up or kipping?
We had kipping. I wish.
And then sandbag clean.
Yeah.
6, 9, 12. So
Yeah.
you did really well on the front end. You took second on part 1 and then tied for 12th on part 2. If it would have been strict handstand push-ups, would you have finished higher?
Perhaps. It really depends on what the field could do, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm just starting to get my strict like volume back. That used to be a real strength of mine, but a couple months ago I couldn't do one. So I don't know what that would have done, but honestly, it was just some silly things that happened that were my fault on the sandbag that kind of had that finish.
And was it an over-the-shoulder sandbag, or could you touch and go?
You could touch and go. It had to be on your shoulder, but then you had to put one arm out.
Okay. Yeah. My co-host loves strict handstand push-ups. She proved it a couple weeks ago by cold getting up from her chair and doing strict handstand push-ups on the wall behind her.
You go.
Well, one trick pony. I can my pressing strength is amazing. My pulling strength is terrible. So
that's all right. You
with
gotta shine where you shine,
Yeah, exactly.
So you end up on the podium, second place, at the end of the weekend. Are you happy? Looking back, were you proud of that second place finish?
Somebody asked me that today.
Girl, you better be.
I mean, I am, but but there's, having all these things that I could have done different. I messed up, these things that I know happened. I wish I had that part I'm not satisfied with. The fact that I got second, I'm pleased with it in as far as my recovery and it was nice to end up there, but I'm a competitor and I want
I was
to.
gonna say, yeah, you're Julie. You wouldn't be pleased.
I want to,
I get it.
I think if I had executed perfectly and had been first, right, then I'd be I'm stoked, but there's always stuff that you gotta, I don't know if you ever, well, maybe you execute perfectly.
That's a thing too about when you're in competition. It's hard to say oh, I want to get first place, or oh, I want to, be on the podium. It's more about, how do you want to execute? Do you want to, follow your plan? Do you want to not make mistakes? And then if you do all that and you're still 10th place, there's nothing you can do about that, right? There are people that are better than you and or trained harder or, can execute better, than so be it. But as long as you do all the prep work and can do it. So I understand that if you have some execution missteps, or things that you could have paced better or whatever, then that's easy to be what could have happened.
Yeah. I mean, the one that killed me was the pull up, the chest to bar front squat one. Cause I'm I think I really could have won that one, but
I'm fascinated by the mindset of it all, because I hear a lot of athletes say, I wasn't perfect, or I wasn't, on my game in this one. And I think I was talking to Lucy Campbell, and I was a collegiate swimmer. And in my career, a long career from childhood to college, I may have swam 2 perfect races. It's not easy to hit perfection, right? Either a flip turn didn't go right, or I took too many breaths, or something happened that I beat myself up for after the fact. And only probably twice in my career did I hit it right where I wanted to hit it. To be an elite athlete, do you need to strive for that perfection?
I think so. I mean, it's, it's there's so many just minute things that separate at the upper echelon, that it's those little things that, make a big difference.
I think sometimes too, you have to be perfect and you have to count on other people not being perfect, which really sucks. It's oh, I need this person to mess up. When you do that whole leaderboarding thing and you're in second place and you need 20 points and you need to be 5 places ahead of this person to make it work. And you need other people to get ahead of them. And yeah, it kind of sucks when you
Yeah.
think about it that way.
Yes. I tried
Yeah.
very hard not to look at the points so I could just.
Yeah. It's hard not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say one of the 2 races I swam perfect in my swimming career. I didn't win, but I was so geeked over that I swam exactly the way I was supposed to. Now, the other
Yeah.
time I did win, and I was pretty damn geeked that time too. But so I think that I get it, right? At the end of the race, if you did everything in your power to do it, then you're satisfied with that. So
yeah, that kind of happened to me with with the toes to bar one, where I hadn't been doing a lot of toes to bar, and so my one of my things that I've been really working on, and I'm still not great at it, is pacing and strategy. And so I went into that one with a game plan, and I mean, I think I executed like exactly how I wanted to. And I didn't come in first, but I was super stoked. Right. And I mean, the icing on the cake would have been had I been first, but I was like, that was a success for me.
And just so the audience knows, that was 5 rounds, 18 toes to bar, 9 shoulder to overhead, and 54 double unders.
I feel like I think we had 15. We had 15 toes to bar.
Okay. 15 toes to bar, 9 shoulder to overhead, and 54 double unders.
44 double unders.
44 double unders. Yeah. They changed it up at 50, which is weird because usually it's 55.
Yes.
So that was an odd kind of switch there. But those numbers are all doable. And so you have to decide, are you going to ride the line and go unbroken on everything, or are you going to pace it? And what was your decision?
Well, my old self would have been like, I could do it all unbroken. But I was like, listen, I think my coach was saying, well, get out in front on the first one and just do unbroken on the toes to bar and try to get a little bit ahead, and then you can break them up. And I was like, no, I'm going to break them up from the beginning. So I broke up the toes to bar and then everything else unbroken. And it went perfect, like how I wanted it to.
And it had to feel good because that's a shoulder intensive workout.
Yeah.
And coming off the shoulder injury. So not only did you hit your game plan, but your shoulder held up in the process.
Yeah. My shoulder was the least of my concerns over the weekend,
I was going to say, it sounds like the shoulder is not even a concern anymore, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's super nice.
That's good.
So was that your most proud moment of the weekend?
I would say so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So let's look into the crystal ball for 2023. A nice second place finish at Legends, a pretty big competition. You're up against some stiff competition. Now comes the Open in February. Are you going to make a run for the games?
Yeah. I mean, just see where the chips land, it's, but I'm going to go for it as much as I can and as much as my body allows me to.
And I think the last time we talked to you, you were doing a lot of your working out in your garage.
Oh, geez,
is that
no mas? No.
You have a gym now?
No more.
Yes, I go back. I'm at the gym now.
Good.
Okay. What is the difference for you there?
Oh, it just feels like, I mean, there's like, I'm not cramped, but like, it's also just like going somewhere. It's like, there's a purpose for what I'm doing kind of thing versus I just go to my garage. I don't know. It's a little bit just harder in terms of mindset. And then the community, it's just fun. And I enjoy all the people there I get to socialize with. So
is it an
And you're
affiliate,
still at
Julie?
Yeah. It's Coda Iron View. And the owners are just amazing. So
And where's that again?
it's in Lafayette, Colorado.
Okay.
And Coda owns like 103 gyms, right?
They own, I think there's 3 in Oklahoma, 3, and then 1 in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they had 3 teams at semifinals,
Yep.
all from different locations.
Yep.
It was so confusing when I was trying to interview them after the heats.
Yeah.
Because I think they were all at the same semifinal too.
There were 2 at God, where was that?
Mac.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
and I think 1 placed, and then there was a snafu there. And then there was 1 at another, I think Native was at another semi.
Yeah, it was confusing. So you got the community now. They're a strong gym in, do they have other games level athletes there to push you? Or is that not something you need?
I mean,
Everybody needs it.
yeah, I mean, I work out on my own. So that's kind of a bummer. It's always nice if somebody wants to jump in with my programming. But that happens very rarely. But Kevin and Casey, who are the owners, they're they were at regionals. And they were part of the team that went to semis last year. And yeah, there's no one has made it to the games yet. Who knows whether that will change, but there's just quality people and high level athletes that if they're, if I see somebody, even, a 20-something-year-old doing something that I, want to be better at them at, like that pushes me.
Go get it. Who does your programming? What programming do you follow?
It's called Golden Line Programming, or Golden Line Training. His name is Matthew Bryant. He used to work for OPEX.
Okay. Does he specialize in like master stuff or regular?
I mean, he both. He does it all, but he does enjoy working with the masters community.
Do you have a couple other colleagues that are following under his tutelage that you know of? No.
She's not giving away secrets.
No, there's
not a secret.
there's no that I know. I mean, on some level, it would be great so that we could do some of the similar
sure
workouts and see where we stack up. But no, not right now.
Where are you sitting in the age group right now?
I will be 52 next year. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're still in the beginning part of that curve.
Yeah.
Cool. So you and I will be in the same age group for a couple of years. Damn it.
Right.
I don't have a chance. Never mind.
Don't say that.
I'm done.
Never say never.
Yeah.
It's possible.
When's the cutoff? What's the cutoff date for 8? Like what?
July 15th, I think.
Yeah, something
of 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be the certain age before.
So I'll be in your age group this year.
Are you going to be 50?
I'll be 50 in February.
You go. February what?
February 20th.
Oh, are you a Pisces or not?
I am. I'm on the cusp. Yes, I'm a Pisces.
All right. Pisces rock. So
yes.
I'm a Pisces.
Excellent.
The only reason I know that is our other co-host, Amy. Her birthday is July 16th. So she's the oldest in her division because
one day.
It's the following day after. Yeah.
That's a good place to be.
Have you registered for the Open yet?
No.
Okay. I registered. I don't remember it telling me I was in a different age group. But
no, I mean, I'm like the last minute sort of registrant.
Yeah. I tried to be the first person to register. So that's how I compete. I want to be the first one.
You go. I'm like, do I have to? Okay. All right.
So I want to ask something more like 30,000 foot, and that is The Masters division just doesn't seem to get the publicity it deserves. What needs to change for that to happen?
Honestly, I think like Rich Froning needs to be a Masters or something like that would perhaps do that. It's a, it's something that I often talk about, and I come from a obviously biased point of view given the fact that I am a Masters athlete, but part of me is like, hey, if I were, if I'm 20 or, in my 20s and I can sleep, I have a massage therapist, a PT, chiro, I have all these recovery tools, I have somebody cooking for me, I'm in the gym 6 to 8 hours a day. Like, part of me is like, you should be good. You should be very good. Right? Like there shouldn't be any reason why you're not good. Like you have it all set up for you. And for me, I am much more impressed by people who have a full-time job, a family, are having to cook for themselves, find a way to recover well, sleep well, all these things, plus compete at a high level. Like, to me, that's more impressive. And of course, nobody asked me, but I just think that we as masters athletes should be kind of rewarded for how much that takes. Like, it's not easy to find the time to work out in a full life of family and full-time job.
So here's my theory. We hear Masters athletes say that all the time, but we never, ever get to see it. So in researching for today, I looked up Julie Rappaport, and 2 podcasts showed up, and both of them were this one.
Oh.
It was this one and the one we did with you before. People need to know the stories behind the athletes. When you know what the athlete has overcome, then there's a rooting interest in them achieving the goal. And we're not telling the stories enough.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that there's this thought of nobody, kind of Greg Glassman's thing of nobody wants to see masters or old people work out or whatever it was that he said. And I just feel like since we're doing, we're working, we have kids, this and that, it's like we are kind of the real human beings that other people in our age groups and such can look at and say, if they can do it, so can I. And I think that is, I don't think that it's true that people don't want to watch the Masters. I think it's a fallacy.
I think the stories are way more interesting anyway.
Yeah,
there's a lot more depth there.
It's
those stories.
It's the people,
and it's more inspiring.
Don't know them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't like with Masters programming too. But
say that again.
I don't like what is going on with Masters programming. That's another beef that I have. But
what do you mean? Can you elaborate?
So, for instance, if they have like a max lift, great, right? Who the strong athletes are going to separate. That's a separator, right? They get that as their thing. But then, as you get older, they then modify the gymnastics. Whereas, there's bar muscle ups and then, oh, nope, now it's chest to bar. And it's like, there's not, when modifications happen, it's usually, my understanding is it should happen due to safety. There's not a safety issue in doing a gymnastics. It's just a skill issue. And it's also a separator. And so it's like, if you're going to have a max lift, you need to have high level gymnastics. And if you can't do it, then I feel like there should be a substitution. Okay, we program bar muscle ups or we program ring muscle ups. That's the workout. if you can't do that or you fail at that, you can replace it with, 9 burpee chest to bar, or, whatever it is, so that people could still participate, but that they get a little bit penalized for not being able to do the high level stuff. I don't know. That's just my thought. It's like, if it's a safety issue, I get it, but I don't think gymnastics.
You make a good point though, because we do it a lot for high skill gymnastics, but we don't ever do it for a max lift, right? Like
Right.
lifting is lifting. And if anything, that's maybe more of a safety issue
Right.
than a high skill gymnastics movement. So I never really thought about it that way, but you're right. Because we will have heavy lifts in a workout and there won't be like, well, you can do this heavy lift or you can do a little lighter lift and
Right.
maybe fewer reps. And, that's the thing. But we could always see, a handstand walk or a bear crawl or, muscle ups or chest to bar. And really not necessarily a penalty for the people that choose the lower skill. That's something to think about. I like that. Good. I'm glad I asked.
In my opinion, if there are 50 people in the world that can do bar muscle ups in that age group, then that should still be considered as one of the elements that can be added. I'm sorry, if you can't do it, you're not going to make the games.
Right.
Right.
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
In the NFL,
and
if you can't throw a pass, you don't get to play.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like the first element in the workout either. We don't need to make people just get on the floor and stare at a bar, right? But it could be intertwined in the workout such that it could still stop you, in your tracks, but at least you've gotten something done. Yeah, I definitely think there could be a little more thought to some of the programming for that in that regard.
And I think it needs, like, in terms of, like, the people that were individuals are now masters. They've the Chris Spielers and the Cole Sagers.
Yeah, they're going to keep those skills for a while.
And yeah, it's like the programming needs to change with the evolution of the sport. And like years ago, okay, maybe there weren't bar muscle ups or ring muscle ups because only one person in 20 could do them or something, but that's not the case now.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Well, we're going to do our best to promote the Masters division. We love the Masters division. We're all Masters athletes on this show. And so we want it to be successful, but you really have to know the players on the field to be able to root for them. And we have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Let me know how I can help. I mean, you guys are great.
Well, that's all I had.
We have ideas.
All right. Let me know. I'm happy to help in whatever way I can.
Awesome. I want to ask you before we let you go, how are the kids?
They're great. They're getting, they're just, I'm like,
how old are they now?
7 and 10.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm like,
so good.
I had to interview to decide for middle school for my son. And I'm like, how is he almost in middle school? Like he was
Crazy.
just a baby. Yeah.
I know. Pretty soon they're up and out. You never know.
I know.
Are they any more interested in the gym?
Oh, they go to kids CrossFit. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
You amaze me, Julie Rappaport.
Thank you.
You do so much with your life and you are so successful, and you are always welcome on this show.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Love you guys.
So fortunate to have met you.
Vice versa.
Well, thank you so much. And we will see you next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast.